This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Brian Peña. I always join the Vito podcast, the best podcast in the United States.
I was trying to get it out here. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired here on Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Churko, alongside my broadcast partner in fun, the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles McElroy. John, how's it going?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Always enjoy our conversations. You got yourself a busy-ass weekend this Thanksgiving weekend. What do you got going on? Where are you going to be?
I'll be at the state football finals, and I'll see Jeff Corrion, my man of the D-Zone. He's our guest on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres. He will be there alongside me covering the action. 8 divisions. Did you know that? 8 divisions. So 4 games Friday, 4 games Saturday at Ford Field. I'll be there for 3 of them. So not all 8. So not as much of a jam-packed weekend as it could have been, but I'm there for Top Cat sales, by the way. And then for the DSP network, I'll cover those games. The D2 game, which is my alma mater, DSL, who I think is going to win. So we'll see for the first time since 2014. D3 at the end of Saturday, the final game of the weekend. Muskegon, undefeated Muskegon, due to win against Farmington Hills Harrison, coached by John Harrington, the legendary head man in the state of Michigan, the winningest all-time head man for football in the state of Michigan, too, at the high school football level.
Vito, give me a sense, because for me, I'm a pro guy, college guy. I don't really invest a whole heck of a lot into high school sports. I mean, I was a guy that obviously followed my high school football team, but we weren't that good at East Detroit, and not a lot of victories racked up, so I wasn't really invested, but I do see big networks like State Champs. I do see the Free Press, the News. They have sections devoted to high school sports. Give me a sense of how popular are high school sports in town?
I would say pretty darn popular. Especially recruiting-wise. It's all about recruits now. Who's going where? And you see all these stars given out, the 3, 4-star, 5-star status for these guys. And there's a lot of talent in the state of Michigan, by the way. A lot of 4- and 5-star guys in the state of Michigan to watch out for. And playing this weekend, West Bloomfield has a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. They're at the D1 level. They should win, and maybe win easily against Clarkston, a rematch from earlier this season. And D2, De La Salle, not as much star talent, but they're a team. And you see a lot of good teams at the high school football level. Maybe not a lot of star talent from team to team in all 8 divisions, but you see teams that really play as a team, and it's all about the team. The Bo Schembechler speech, all about the team. It really is at the high school football level, Doc.
I definitely get a strong sense of the support that athletes, students have for their schools just based on the Top Cat Sales High School Coach of the Week polling. I mean, we had a week where we had over 25,000 votes cast for these coaches. I mean, these coaches are welcoming. They let you come talk to them at their nice offices. I see the pictures that you post. My goodness, some of these football offices kind of look like professional offices. Nice digs for some of these guys.
They are nicely decked out, and I wish I had an office like that here at the podcast network, but you have the best office here at the network. You do.
No doubt about it. So you're excited. I know that you were very happy and thrilled that your alma mater, De La Salle, defeated Detroit King. Take me through it. What happened? I know I saw the final score. I think it was close, like 14-13.
Yeah.
Really tight game. Set the stage. What happened?
Well, I wasn't there, but inside the lovely, warm confines of the Detroit Free Press on Saturday afternoon last weekend, and I was able to follow it via Twitter, and trust me, I was feeling good when I saw the final score. 14-13, you're right, Doc. And it took a missed PAT from Detroit King in the final seconds for DSL to capture the victory. And now the sad thing is, at the PSL, in that league, it's the Detroit Public School League. They don't have kickers. Nobody ever can kick. So these teams lose because of that. They're full of talent, more star power than De La Salle, definitely this year. 2-time reigning champs in Detroit King, by the way, too. So they were the favorite to win this game in the semifinal round. But they didn't have a place kicker, a guy that could make the PAT. He missed the PAT, and De La Salle holds on to win it 14-13, advance the Division II state finals for the first time since 2014, and they're looking to win, and I think they will. And one of their stars is their quarterback, unheralded to start the year, a guy that took off from playing football his junior campaign. He's a senior now playing football again, and he's looking like a stud all of a sudden. A guy that can roll out, throw the deep ball, can run and get yards that way. And they got another guy that can catch the football. He's a spark plug. A kid that went to school with my family at St. Thecla at De La Salle. His name is Jacob Badalamenti. He's a guy that can do special teams. He's a stud via that route, and he can catch a ball, run with it, and score. And De La Salle can play defense. They've been stout defensively, and they're led by a head coach who won at Macomb, Dakota. And I will talk about that with Jeff Corrion, too, about how that would be hugely meaningful for his legacy because he won at a public school, and now he could win at a private school. He would go down then, subsequently, as one of the best high school football headmen of all time in the state of Michigan.
Okay, so what's it like covering a high school game at Ford Field? I know last year you were able to do it. I got the email saying, hey, does Vito represent you guys? And I said, of course Vito represents the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. What's it like?
It's cool because, you know, I've never covered a Lions game at Ford Field, so you get a nice feel, a nice environment.
I seen that you were able to walk on the sidelines in previous games that you've covered.
For the De La Salle Catholic Central Prep Bowl, and put on by the Catholic League. That was a few weeks ago. I was there. That's why you saw the photos of me being on the sideline, roaming the sidelines. And that was really, really cool. Because once again, I've never covered a Lions game. But the vibe you get from the fans, support from the students, from the families and friends of these players, it's really cool to see. And you see some schools have more of that support than others. De La Salle is one of those schools where they get a lot of people backing them year in, year out.
All right, let's get to our guest. Who do we got coming up next?
Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone. He's been a guest before, and he'll be on right after this quick commercial break on Two Bad Hombres. And Doc, if you're looking for team apparel for your high school, your club, sports team, or corporation, then look no further than one of my great employers in Top Cat Sales, located in downtown Royal Oak, Michigan, on the east side of Main Street, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan quarterback John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the very highest quality and very best service. So get your organization, your school, or club team all in with Adidas today by emailing sales@topcatteamsales.com. Once again, the email address for Top Cat Sales is sales@topcatteamsales.com. And always, always, always remember to follow Top Cat Sales on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. That's right.
And now joining me on this episode of Two Bad Hombres for some fresh feedback is Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone. Jeff, it's been a while, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, happy Thanksgiving. I know it's an exciting time for all of us that care about high school football. The state finals this weekend at Ford Field, and this podcast drops on Saturday, so we missed out on talking about the Friday games, kind of. But, you know, just an overview of what's happening on Friday. We have D8, D2, D6, a D4 in the nightcap. Then Saturday, D7, D1, D5, and then D3 in the nightcap to conclude the state finals. And first and foremost, just look at Division II a little bit because of De La Salle, my alma mater. So I got to bring up Warren De La Salle, even though this podcast is released the following day. But simple question. What do you think it would mean for the legacy of Mike Giannone to win a state title at De La Salle in his second year on the job after winning 2 state championships at Macomb, Dakota?
I mean, it would be huge. The win over King itself is, you know, one of his biggest, I think, you know, accolades in his coaching career to beat a team like Detroit King, the back-to-back Division II state champions, you know, but it's only the semifinal. So, you know, they'll be ready for Livonia Franklin. Livonia Franklin will be ready for them. So it'll be a huge, you know, accolade winning the Division II state title within 2 years of coming from Dakota. And, you know, even though there was a little, you know, not really a rough patch, just not, you know, the success that he's used to having at De La Salle last year when he was at Dakota, you know, he immediately turned things around in the second year. They're in the state finals. That's incredible.
And Jeff, honestly, I don't think anybody saw it coming this year after missing out on the playoffs last year. Not full of a lot of star talent, 4 or 5-star players. And then they get blown out in week 1 in the Prep Kickoff Classic at Wayne State, their home field, against Lowell. I mean, after that game, nobody really saw this season coming from De La Salle.
No, they got off on a bad footing. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, when you got a lot of players who were familiar with him when he was at Dakota and stuff that, you know, and he had Madigan already on that defense, him and Dobbs is just an insane duo that this past week really took that game over versus King. And I imagine, well, I seen them do it versus Catholic Central too in week 9. Those two dominated as outside linebacker safeties. And, when you got two players like that who are just constantly making plays, helmet on the ball in every play, you're bound for a very successful season.
And Jeff, beating Catholic Central, Novi Detroit Catholic Central, back-to-back weeks, a team that went to the state finals last year, and they were down a little bit, but still made the playoffs, made the semis. So, when you say down, really they weren't truly losing to Clarkston in the D1 semifinals. And then DSL beating King, as you already noted, Jeff, the two-time reigning state champs at the D2 level, and barely winning, but winning at Hazel Park last Saturday, and it was impressive. And for me, at the D2 level, that was the state title game, truly. And maybe I'm speaking out of my behind and a little bit biased here about De La Salle, but I truly think that way regarding that D2 semifinal between King and De La Salle, and I truly believe it for both sides, that it really was a state title game, and any team, either of those teams that won, would win the state finals, and at this point, would have beaten Livonia Franklin.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and a lot of people would agree with that, including me in a certain regard, but we still got to play the game with Franklin and De La Salle, So, that happened last year with Cass Tech and who they play in the semifinal last year.
Utica Eisenhower.
Yeah, Eisenhower. Of course, Eisenhower. That, to me, was, the state final game, and, there wasn't much drama in the state finals. It was 14-7 Catholic Central, but, Cass Tech was so well prepared for that game. They came back the second quarter and second half and just ran it away. And I think Eisenhower would have done the same thing if they would have, not had that crazy finish with Peoples Jones making that incredible touchdown. But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, Division I on the bottom part of the bracket, Region 3 and 4, and Division II, Region 3 and 4 is always consistently some of the best football in the state. And when those two teams meet in the semifinals, sometimes regional, sometimes districts, there's some incredible games. And unfortunately, the best games might not be the state finals.
No, it doesn't always end up that way. As you said, Cass and Ike last year in the semis of D1, much better than Cass Tech against CC in the state finals, where Cass Tech just blew out Catholic Central. Now, Speaking of Cass Tech and a MAC red power such as Eisenhower, Cass Tech had to play Chippewa Valley at Chippewa Valley in the regional final this year.
Yeah, it was an incredible game.
That was incredible. DeAndre Square making that catch, and it reminded me, Jeff, of Ike against Cass Tech, where Cass Tech's talent just overwhelmed and overpowered Chippewa this time around.
Yeah, it was basically what team had the ball last that was going to make a play. And last year, Peoples Jones had that catch with 26 seconds left, which, doesn't give Eisenhower much time to come down the field and make a play, which they didn't. And then the same thing this year with Chippewa Valley, but with 4 seconds left, there was that incredible catch by Square, like you noted. And then 2 plays later was Jaron Mangum diving over the pile, and Chippewa Valley had one last gasp, for a Hail Mary, but your chances are better of having a minute and a half long drive and coming down compared to 30 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever it may be, So you're right, though. Cass Tech, just the power, their talent at the end has worn these teams down, and the athleticism and speed late in the game is 100% still there for Cass Tech, and they take advantage of it.
But Cass Tech actually is not in the state finals this year. West Bloomfield against Clarkston. Everybody expected West Bloomfield. They started off slow, losing their first 2 games against Walled Lake Western, then Bloomfield Hills. But they are there in the state finals and look like the dominant favorite. I think they really are, Jeff.
Yeah. No, there's no question about it. They beat Cass Tech last week. And the players after the games were, empathetic. They were saying it pretty loud. They beat Cass Tech. Like, Cass Tech, is the program still that, teams strive to be. The standard is set, to be Cass Tech. A team has been in the semifinals 8 straight years, 3 Division I titles. Like, that's the standard currently. And when, West Bloomfield beat Cass Tech, that's a huge eye opener. Even though, West Bloomfield is probably the better team on paper this year, the better team, obviously on the field. So, it's incredible to see, a team like West Bloomfield, who did struggle, like you noted, in the beginning of the year, turn it on and even defeat Clarkston in week 4.
Yes, and the Lakers have turned it on at the right time, led by Bryce Beasley. So much talent on that roster on both sides of the ball. Give us a prediction, Jeff, and a final score in that D1 final?
I haven't thought. I'm about to think about it in like 30 minutes more, but it's going to be West Bloomfield, I think, who wins by probably a touchdown. It's going to be a great game. I mean, Clarkston's clicking on all cylinders right now as well with running backs Mike Flugel and Josh Cantu. I know he got hurt a little, but I'm not sure the extent of the injury versus Catholic Central last week. Flugel, that was a player who actually stepped in for Nolan Erickson when he was a sophomore, and they lost to Dakota that game, but Flugel immediately made his mark known. Like, there's going to be no drop off between Erickson and what we have now, which was Flugel. And it's just an incredible team. They got, the offensive line to control the clock and possession, which they're going to want to do, especially since it's been going so well for them. They don't pass a lot. The teams are just so familiar with each other. West Bloomfield won that game pretty comfortably early in the year. So I mean, if they don't, get caught up that in 10 weeks ago, I think, West Bloomfield wins by at least a touchdown.
And Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone on with me, providing some fresh feedback on the state football finals. And moving on to the final game of the whole entire weekend, a beautiful matchup in Muskegon versus Farmington Hills Harrison in D3. Muskegon undefeated at 13-0. Farmington Hills Harrison at 10-3. I don't think many people expected Harrison to get there this year, but they are there. All about John Harrington, the all-time winningest coach in the state of Michigan in high school football. He has won 13 state titles, but hasn't won a state title since 2010. Muskegon has been in the finals 5 of the last 6 years, but hasn't won a state title since 2008 versus my alma mater, Warren de La Salle. But Muskegon looks like a proven team, should be there, and the heavy favorite, in my opinion, with Ladarius Jefferson. This guy is extremely talented, a dual-threat QB, and I truly think Muskegon gets it done and caps off their season with a state championship, which would make them 14-0. Now, Jeff, looking at this matchup, what is your prediction? And give me a final score as well.
I mean, it's tough to go against Muskegon. I think they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. Looking at it ahead of time, there's just so much talent. They've just been embarrassing teams left and right. There's no other way to really describe what they've done. That DeWitt 49-0, Harper Creek 42-0. Despite these conditions, they're still running on these teams, not giving up anything defensively. If Harrison does win, it's going to be because they outcoached Muskegon like kind of St. Mary's did last year. I mean, St. Mary's and Muskegon, we probably had the same exact conversation last year, with the same context, but just different team names. And we all thought, oh, Muskegon's going to run right through St. Mary's. They're a better team on paper, like Muskegon is this year. But at the same time, like St. Mary's has controlled the clock last year and came up with big passes when they needed them. And I kind of see that potentially playing out. I don't think it will happen, but if Harrison wins, that's what's going to happen is they're going to control the clock with Rod Hurd, and he's going to break a few plays, and quarterback will make a few nice throws. The defense is solid, though, with Ovi Ogahofu.
That name is so tough to say. I have no idea how to say that, Jeff, myself, and I just call him Ovi, but he's a stud. You're right.
Yeah, I know how to type it. I struggle saying it, but the Notre Dame commit, he's going to be solid. But Muskegon's just so solid all around with Jefferson. You said leading the show. The defense is insane. They got Anthony Bradford and AJ Reed up front. Bradford has an Alabama offer already. First offer was from Georgia, so they're going to do what they do best, and that's run the football and use the veer option to set up play action and score some big plays. So it's going to boil down the coaching, I think.
And now, Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone with me here on Two Bad Hombres. Back to Ladarius Jefferson. I just can't talk about him enough. And I think people are just enamored with his dual threat ability. How many combined touchdowns does he record in this D3 state final Saturday night?
I think, if Muskegon wins, it's going to be 5 or 6. If they lose, it's going to be around 3 or 4, I think. So, it just depends on, how well Harrison is prepared for what he does, because, at the end of the day, if you can shut down a quarterback like Jefferson, is going to limit players around him because he's the one that has the ball in his hands 100% of the snaps. So it's going to be a very good game because this is a player you can scheme all you want for. You can defend him all you want, but he still can break tackles. He can still outrun, a defender. So it's going to be incredible.
So, Jeff, let me get you on record here on Two Bad Hombres. Let's place the over-under at 4 total touchdowns scored by Ladarius. What are you taking?
Over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's done it before. I mean, he's a stud, as you've been speaking of, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that, especially these playoffs. Muskegon's only real challenge this year has been Mona Shores, and he, blew up in the second half of that game, and it's been cruise control before and after that game for him. So, I mean, let's see what he does in his last game, And
you know what? It seems like Muskegon is so darn due to win, almost winning last year against Orchard Lake St. Mary's. You talked about that game. It was a beautiful game to watch. Went down to the wire, to the bitter end, and they could have won that game, and they haven't won, though, since 2008 against my alma mater once again. I must bring that up. So I think Muskegon is long overdue. It is their year, and I think they finish off this campaign undefeated at 14-0. Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone, great speaking with you. Let my listeners and I really quick know about how we can follow you and, just find out more about the D-Zone.
Yeah, definitely. Our website is the spot to go, www.thedzone.com, all one word. Just go to thedzone.com. That's all I got to say. And follow us on Twitter at @the_zone for all your Michigan high school football needs.
You guys better do that. And how many Twitter followers do you guys have now? Because you just have a ton of followers. I know that too, Jeff.
Yeah, we're at 81,500 right now.
That's pretty impressive, huh?
Yeah. 8 years later.
That's really darn impressive, Jeff. And you are impressive with the insight and knowledge that you can drop at just any second regarding high school football in the state of Michigan. And I'll let you go with that. Great speaking with you. Happy Thanksgiving once again. And I'll see you at the state football finals this weekend at Ford Field.
Definitely looking forward to it. Thank you.
And back here on Two Bad Hombres, pretty good stuff from Jeff Corrion. He always drops the knowledge on high school football in the state of Michigan. For me, he's the best source. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because I work at the Free Press too. But no, Mick McCabe, honestly, the best source. Here's something that I'm going to tell you now. I don't even know if you knew about this. Do you know who Mick McCabe is? Mm-hmm. You do. You know the name, right?
The Swami.
The Swami. The son of Swami, I think he goes by in the Free Press. Legendary name in the state of Michigan for high school football, everything related to high school football. Well, he's been covering it for a long, long time. Now he's a special columnist. He's semi-retired, but he's still the best source for high school football in the state of Michigan. And maybe number 2 is Jeff Corrion, and rightfully so. He's the best of the best, Jeff Corrion, in the D-Zone after Mick McCabe of the Detroit Free Press, Doc.
And then where does Vito Turco rank on that list?
Way down the totem pole. Trust me. But hey, I'm willing to admit it. At least I'm covering high school football because I do like it. And I know more and more. I think you can tell from my segment with Jeff Corrion, too.
Listen, let's hype ourselves up. You are the best audio presenter of high school sports
maybe
in the state of Michigan. In terms of presenting information via the audio platform, you get the nod, Vito.
Sure, let's just say that.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
All right, so when this podcast airs, Thanksgiving would have passed. What is going down at the Churko household?
You know what? I'm going to my dad's side of the family, so the Churko side, and it's my dad's brother's house, or actually, and I'm not even sure, I think it's going to be my cousin on my dad's side. Mike Churko and his family, it's at his house, or my uncle Rick's, which is my dad's brother. So we're doing that on Thanksgiving.
Does the Churko family have anybody that could come over that might indulge a little bit in the alcohol or might say some things or loose with the boundaries at all?
No, we don't have anybody like that on the Churko side.
You're
tight-knit. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
How about you guys?
Going to my sister's husband's side of the family. And then one of the rare times, because I'm not a really big fan of it, but at the same time, there are benefits to going to two places. Afterwards, we're going to my in-laws for dessert. I'm not really a fan of going to two places. I'm a kind of guy that likes to, wear sweatpants or wear the Adidas and wear a tracksuit, eat a whole bunch of food so that you can kind of unbutton your pants and just relax a little bit. And I just want to plop down, watch some football all day and eat. But I'm kind of hoping that the Lions will have a victory. I'll probably leave the house at halftime of the Lions game. I'm hoping that the Lions game is close or the Lions have a lead at halftime. Make the 10, 15-minute drive over to my sister's side of the family, hang out there for a couple hours, and then head over to the in-laws.
Two things, really quick, to follow up what you just said. Now, you said you wear sweatpants on Thanksgiving.
Of course.
So how are you going to undo a button to release a little?
Or,
what would you do then after you eat a lot?
It is dependent on the cleanliness of the clothes because I will reveal I'm dependent on my wife for the laundry. I don't do my own laundry.
Okay,
so it's either going to be pants. So plan A is sweatpants so that I can eat a whole bunch. But if it's pants, then you got to unbutton them. Obviously, you got to eat a lot, right?
Absolutely.
You
It's
consume
Thanksgiving.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
My favorite Thanksgiving dish, I like the stuffing a lot. I do. And I like mashed potatoes and gravy, and I like the turkey. How about yourself? Do you guys have turkey? Are you traditional in terms of that?
Of course, turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing. I'm a stuffing guy. But lately, the family's been rocking the desserts, man. Good cakes, cheesecakes. Oh, man, the salted caramel pies. So much good desserts, but we also do have to be a little bit health conscious because the missus is gluten-free. So there's a little bit some... So the family is taking notice and making some gluten-free options. I think we're even having 2 turkeys, one regular turkey, one gluten-free turkey.
Look at you guys.
Yeah.
And are you being health conscious?
Hell no.
I thought you were on a diet. Are you on a diet? You're working out?
I'm working out, but what will happen is I'll up the workouts maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. I will have probably worked out a couple more times than usual. It's just so that I can maybe lose 2 pounds and gain it all back on Thanksgiving. You got to splurge a little bit, but not too much. What it is that I've learned in years past is I don't want to pass out by the third football game. What you do is you just kind of eat a little bit of everything. You just don't pile up one food and eat a bunch of it. You sprinkle a little bit of portions across a bunch of different options that are out there. So that's what I'll do.
Well, Thanksgiving is a universal cheat day, really, for everybody, right? So you can cheat, you can splurge a little bit.
I think in years past, I read that the average American consumes like 4,000 to 5,000 calories that day. It's
crazy.
It's almost double the intake of Americans, right? And Michigan, too. You noticed, too. Michigan is a pretty hefty state. You know,
You've spoken about that before.
I've
The
noticed
asses in the seats at Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah, I've noticed. And
They can't fit.
Exactly. So Thanksgiving will be fun. Like I said, I'm thankful for the support of everybody here at the network. Thankful for the fun that we get to have every single week. It's really fun to record podcasts, produce them, and it's really fun to have people that are dedicated and working in the craft, broadcasting and reporting. It's cool. It's cool stuff.
Well, what is not funny, transitioning a little bit to the sexual harassment allegations that have recently come out regarding Senator Al Franken. And a little bit surprising because we thought, the Democrats can't do any wrong, right? I mean, all the Republicans have kind of come under fire for allegations more often than not in recent memory than Democrats have. But Al Franken, to the forefront, has addressed these allegations. He's apologized for them, and it's regarding an incident with Leanne Tweeden, who I believe she was on the Best Damn Sports Show period at one point. And
That's where I first...
Did you watch that too a little bit?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the fascinating part about that is a picture surfaced.
Yes.
And it's really bad when you look at it. A picture speaks 1,000 words, no doubt. And but the aspect of it that I kind of look at and I say, yes, it's wrong, obviously, but the other aspect is it's tough because it's the he said, she said part of it where he says, look, I know that, Leanne's coming out and saying that I wrote this play and that I shoved my tongue down her mouth. I don't remember it that way. That part of it's tough, but the photograph, that's really inappropriate, and he should take fire for that. But now, the interesting wrinkle to the story is his old crew, 37 women have come out and signed a statement saying, look, we're in support of Al Franken, and he was nothing but appropriate with us, and they're showing solidarity by supporting him. What do you make of it?
Well, it's powerful. It's telling. And that tells, there are probably 1,000 words there, but it tells a lot about Al Franken, his character, and what he stands for, despite these recent allegations. And by the way, there was something else that came out regarding Al Franken just recently, I think from 2010, outside of the Leanne Tweeden allegations, where there is a photo which tells 1,000 words. You're right. That looks bad for Al Franken. But now these women supporting him with this letter in solidarity, it looks good for Al Franken, and I think he keeps his Senate spot. I don't think he has to resign. Now, my question to you, though, regarding these senators that have come under fire recently, do they have to resign? What do you think, Doc?
One of the factors that is really difficult is some of these allegations now are being reported like 15, 20 years ago. And so I do believe that people evolve, but it's a big mistake. It is one thing where you evaluate a person and say, wow, if you're capable of doing that kind of stuff, what kind of leader really are you? But for me, Vito, I don't invest and call senators my role models, okay, for me. Not athletes, not role models. I just look to my small circle, my mother, some family members that I trust, that I look up to, that are upstanding citizens. So for me, I take a negative stance about politicians in general in that I probably just, paint everybody with one broad stroke of like, hey, if I had $1 million, I could probably buy any politician and get them to endorse podcasting as something that's more important than it really is. You know what I mean? So I just think that bureaucracies and politics, I don't really get into it that much. It's just, in this kind of stuff, I always kind of knew that some people in power will abuse it. In what way? Obviously financial, obviously sexual, maybe obviously for their own personal gain in terms of setting up laws that maybe benefit them in terms of their businesses or other businesses. I understand there's a certain level of corruption. Now, in terms of this power thing going on with men and sexual harassment, I always kind of knew it was there, but all these women now coming out and naming those that do it, this should have been done a while back. I mean, it should have been done 15, 20 years ago. If someone does that to you, speak out on it. Now the climate's changed where people are more free to speak out on it. I think it's a good thing. Speak out on it. But I don't obviously universally agree 100% that every single allegation is true. There might be a couple false allegations here and there, but by and large, I'm part of the solution. I don't sexually harass women. I treat women with respect, and my name won't be on any list anytime soon.
Good for you.
What about
Same
you,
here.
Vito?
Same here. I'm too young for all that stuff, and no, I wouldn't ever engage in that kind of criminal behavior. I think it's immoral, unethical. Now, I was going to say this really quick. One thing I've had a problem with is these people doubting the validity of these allegations of these women who kept everything to themselves for a long, long time.
Duke Lacrosse, Vito. That's all you got to say. I mean, it has happened.
But can we truly question all these women? Should we? It's really should we? Now, we can. Yes, we can because of something like that. But should we? I think it's wrong for us to question those women because think about how hard it probably was back in the day to come out and to admit that a man did this to me, especially if you were in a prominent industry such as acting
Vito,
in Hollywood.
you
Think
can't
about
be
how hard
naive.
it would have been, though, to come out to say you would have lost your position as a star back then.
Of course, the number of false allegations is probably very low, but you got to remember what Duke Lacrosse did, and this is one of the reasons why people are skeptical. I mean, a major newspaper did an expose, got the information from this woman, and then the entire nation judged these Duke Lacrosse players. But then when people investigated the facts of the case, then it kind of led people to believe these guys said they were across town when this stuff was happening. The facts do not at all indicate that these guys did this thing. So do I believe that the majority of women are lying? No. But do I believe universally that every woman that comes out is being truthful? No. I'm skeptical that 100% of the women are being truthful because of the fact that all these guys that are being accused are rich and powerful guys. So at least you would think that potentially one or some people might be self-serving and have some nefarious reasons to do these kind of things. And when money is involved, sometimes when there's lawsuits or people getting hush-hushed for money, I just wish that as a society we wouldn't use the legal system to let money be a factor. Look, if you sexually harass somebody, it's a criminal matter. I don't believe in the ability to sue somebody for money because they sexually harass you. I think that's a factor that should be eliminated from this culture is the civil nature of dealing with legal matters. Okay, I sexually harass you, then I need to face disciplinary actions, go to jail. I don't like the fact that a powerful guy can have the avenue of saying, look, I did X. Here's $5 million. Please be quiet. Because then that gives me an avenue of keep doing it. If you want to stop sexual harassment, you then need to reshape how this is looked at. And it's starting now by outing these guys that are doing it, by discussing it openly on how to properly treat women. And this is what's been happening. But one aspect that's not being looked at is women should not be able to sue men for money because of sexual harassment. That's something that should be looked at in terms of changing behaviors. If you want to change behaviors, then why are you going out for $10 million? I mean, is that how much your suffering is worth? How do you put a price on that? How do you know how much suffering is worth? How do people that are on a jury know what number to give based upon how much money someone has? I feel like it should be looked at criminally. It should be looked at punitively, not monetarily. And I think that if we look back on it, when we look as a society and we say, how did this progress to this level? How did it progress? Well, rich and powerful guys were able to believe that they could get away with anything because they could throw money at it. They could say, look, you know what? I'm sorry this happened. Some of my personal bad habits came out. Here's $5 million. Please be quiet. Here's the NDA. Sign it. And these women signed it and said, okay, I won't talk about it anymore. And that did more of a disservice too. So on both sides, the women and the men have issues to look at in terms of their behaviors.
There's no price that can be placed on the settlement money that...
I don't believe in settlements. I just don't believe in that.
You know what? I was going to say, there's no price that you can place on the physical and mental toll that an individual has to endure through because of sexual assault, sexual harassment. There really isn't.
And I do think now the dialogue is happening. This country's learning more and more about what Hollywood was able to do, what powerful people are able to do. But on some degree, most people aren't really surprised because of starting with, John Kennedy. There was rumors about some things he was doing in the White House. Obviously, it was blown up in the age of information with Bill Clinton.
Who got impeached because of it.
Who openly told the nation, I did not have sexual relations, and he openly lied to people. So once that happened, I think that was, for me, one of the key markers that just said to me, okay, these people believe in their own minds what they think. And it is true as a psychologist that if you lie to yourself enough, you start to believe it. So Bill Clinton.
Donald Trump?
Of course.
How many accusers does he have?
Of course.
And nothing's happened to him. Yet he hasn't been held accountable. How about taking some accountability for your actions, Donald Trump, who supposedly paid off all of those women too, 10 or more?
So
it's happened, Doc.
And I think with these revelations that the number goes down and we could focus on other very important aspects of the country in terms of race relations, the economy, other more important stuff as well.
Really quick, Doc. U of M Fraternity Council canceled all Greek life recently. I bet you've heard about that.
Yeah.
It's become a national news headline.
I watched a Netflix documentary talking about Greek life and binge drinking and hazing and stuff like that. And so I never got into Greek life, wasn't a fan of it. I, took the age-old adage. I didn't need to buy friends. I had a lot of friends in college.
I agree.
I didn't need to go through a ritual to be decided if I was part of a club. I was like, look, when they came to my door, they'd knock and say, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, no, I go to enough parties. They tried to sell me on it. I remember specifically they were like, we get to have all these best parties. And da-da-da. I go to the parties that I want to go to and that I'm invited to, and I had a good time. And boop, shut the door in their face and kept it moving. I wasn't a Greek guy.
I didn't need it either. Never joined a fraternity. Never felt the need for it. Nick and I were heavily pursued at times. I think they kind of were enamored by my lack of size, his huge size, so they wanted us to be part of the fraternity, and a few of them. So we had the chance to join Greek life, but I felt the same way as you, and Nick did too. He would tell you right now that the truth is we didn't feel the need to pay to play. I mean, we were still at the frat parties. We went to the same frat parties, but then we didn't have to clean up. I mean, think about all the cleanup, all the money per month. They have to pay per month. These sororities, it's like big bills that rack up, and my parents weren't going to pay for me, so I couldn't afford it. They weren't going to pay for me, and I didn't need it. And I think it's stupid, all the hazing and all of that crap. As you spoke about the ritual part of joining a frat, joining a sorority, who needs that and wants to, endure all of that, right?
Exactly, and you see stories like Penn State where people are dying, left to die, and in the documentary on Netflix, it talked about when bad things happen, fraternity brothers start sharing stories about like alibis, and
they're covering up, right? They're going to cover up.
It's bad, and whenever there's a death on campus, young people don't go to college to die, and the stories were very sad. It was unfortunate.
Really quick, as a parent, who would want their kid to go out to college and to die? You want them to make friends and to have a good time a little bit, but to that extent where they're binge drinking and forced to binge drink, I'll binge drink if I want.
That's right.
I mean, that's how it should be. Anyways, that's my stance on all of that.
All right, quick update. How has the relationship with your friend progressed?
Nothing lately.
You haven't texted her?
I haven't reached out to her.
Why?
Since Friday night or something.
Why not?
Not interested as much anymore, so we'll see what happens. I think I should really play the field, Doc, okay?
Okay, but I have a question. Okay, in terms of the dating situation, it doesn't have to progress further, but you don't check in on someone, hey, how you doing, what's going on, or she has stopped replying to you?
No, she replied to me last, but it was nothing fun, nothing exciting. I don't know what she wants. I don't know what I want.
We know what you want, but
what do I want? Well,
a friendship.
We do.
Friendship.
A friendship that turns into a relationship, though. Okay. But I don't need sex or a one-night stand. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not. So you're thinking that, but you weren't. You weren't really, right?
Vito, I'm thinking that how do you go through the progress of a relationship and never meet the person or hang out with them ever?
Well, it's been like a week since I met her. Remember, I met her in person, Doc. It's not just a Tinder relationship or something of that nature. Come on, man.
You're so judgmental that how someone relays messages to you via text, you judge. Like she wasn't excited?
I didn't cut her off because of that. I know what you're thinking and what you're saying right now. It's not true. I didn't cut her off.
Okay. So
I'll still talk to her. I just haven't texted her. I haven't made the time. I do other stuff. I want to watch football. I was watching Monday Night Football, then I fell asleep. But I got better stuff.
Right now.
During the weekend, got better stuff to do, man.
You got your phone out right now? Shoot her a quick message now while we're recording. Just be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? What's going on with you? That's all it takes.
How was your weekend? I'll text her right now. How was your weekend? She won't respond right away. Watch.
No, it's fine.
She does work, by the way. She's got a life. She is 33.
Okay, now take my advice. Hey, Such and Such, just I'm recording a real famous podcast. Just wanted to say hi. That's all.
I'm going to text her, how was your weekend?
There you go.
Doing it right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Vito. Vito, you can't foster friendships with people by just saying, oh, I want to do other things. No, the whole purpose of this is that we got to get you from where you are, which is your old habits with no girlfriend, no action, no discussion, to the new Vito where you can't just let things fizzle. I want you to foster this relationship and see if there's a friendship there. At the very least, have a conversation with a mature woman that can give you the perspective and lay the foundation when you do start dating of saying, hey, watch out for this, watch out for that. I can do that as a guy, but it's also valuable to have friends that are women that can say, hey, she's, your current girlfriend saying that she's going here, but if she hasn't talked to you when she's going there, she's probably looking at other guys. So you need that wisdom from an older, mature woman. So, not everything that we discuss has to be nefarious and sexually based. If you develop a friendship, now you have an ally on your side to kind of shield you from some women that might not be as advantageous for you as possible. So befriend this woman and foster a friendship. Because if you're saying to me, are you saying to me that she only came up to you because she was drunk and influenced, and that's why you guys hit it off?
But she wasn't drunk, though, I think, actually, which I was surprised. Okay. I don't think she was. I mean, how do I know for sure? But no, she wasn't slurring her words. I'll just say that.
So the advice of the week is foster the friendship. Don't go 3 days. You don't have to text her every day, but I would say every other day, shoot her a message. Every other day.
Doc, thank you for your sage advice. And would you like me to bow down to you now?
No, I would like you to not let this one fizzle out, because at the very least, we still got to have a chance to interview this lady before we end this bit.
Before I lose her. Anywhere this bit does that. Yeah, maybe prematurely.
Exactly. All right. So on that front, it kind of slowed down this week. But my counsel for you this week, the advice is, don't just think that you have to look at somebody as a potential relationship. They can be a friend. Friends that are females are great.
Friends matter, and friends are needed that are female, of the opposite sex from me.
Exactly.
You're saying. Okay, I'll take that advice.
Since that the majority of your friends are guys.
They're all guys. Absolutely. And with that, let's end our conversation for this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. Doc, hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I will talk to you again next Saturday.
Check out all the podcasts, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. You can follow Vito at Vito Jerome. You can follow the show at Two Bad Hombres. And as always, if you like what you're listening to, you want to banter back and forth, follow the network's Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. See everybody next time.